The central metaphor of the High Holy Days is the Book of Life, the celestial record that God keeps of our deeds, the book in which God decides our fate in the year to come. It's telling that the metaphor speaks of the Book of Life rather than the book of deeds or acts or decisions or judgments, the Book of Life. It speaks of the emphasis of our tradition, the emphasis on life above all else. It is in that spirit that we offer these services, that we have decided to have our High Holy Days at home this year. We offer our time in the sanctuary this year as a sacrifice for the health and well-being of one another, for truly nothing is more important. We are physically apart, and in our commitment to one another's health, we are more together than ever. Making this service as meaningful as possible will depend on you. I hope that you're somewhere comfortable, that you've set up a mikdash ma'at, a small sanctuary. In a moment, our congregation's president, Emily Cohen, will kindle the lights for Rosh Hashanah. Please light them along with her in your home. And throughout the service, please read along with every prayer, sing our melodies, hum the ones that you do not know. Also, as always, please feel free to wander the pages of the Machzor, the High Holy Day prayer book. It is filled with beautiful poetry and thoughtful reflections. In addition to the copies we've sent home, you can also access digital flipbooks of the book via the homepage of our website, which you can view on any digital device. We continue now with the kindling of the Shabbat and Rosh Hashanah lights on page 11 in our Machzor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and this festival. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehekiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu la'azman hazeh. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this season. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova.
טוב ומה נעים, שבת ahim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת ahim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה, הנה מה טוב. There are those of us who carry years. There are those who tarry years. There are those who are born to us, and there are those who come to us.
And there are those who know their dreams,
And those who dream to know. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת ahim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת ahim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה מה טוב.
there are those of us who reach for heaven, there are those who reach for hands.
There are those whose faith is rock,
And those who question God's command,
and there are those who just don't know the words, and those who know where they stand. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת ahim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת ahim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה, הנה מה טוב. הנה מה טוב. Not all the same, but stronger and wiser as one. Here we are. Here we are. Here we go.
Page 19 in the prayer book. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5781. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our hearts be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Page 20, Baruch Hu. Page 26, Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto.
Page 34, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, norat hilot osei fele.
Page 35. One day, a few years after the liberation, I walked through the country past flowering meadows for miles and miles, toward the market town near the camp. Larks rose to the sky, and I could hear their joyous song. There was no one to be seen for miles around. There was nothing but the wide earth and sky and the lark's jubilation and the freedom of space. I stopped, looked around and up to the sky, and then I went down on my knees. At that moment, there was very little I knew of myself or the world, but I had one sentence in mind, always the same. I called to Adonai from my narrow prison, and God answered me in the freedom of space. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, eternal power, the one who redeemed Israel. Page 36. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With sublime power, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield. Make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us, that we may come home in peace, now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. I remember sitting next to my grandfather during high holiday services as a boy. He wore a tallis that had looped fringes hanging from the ends. During the prayers and music, I would carefully put each loop over my finger till I had a stack of loops on one finger. I thought he was happy to have me entertained and sitting quietly. I think he was just happy to be with me. To this day, I cannot put on a tallis without thinking of my grandfather. Our Avot V'Imahot prayer gives us the space to think about those who came before us, our parents and grandparents on back to Abraham and Sarah. This year, during the Lamancha, inserted in the Avot for the High Holy Days, we'll see images of our congregants and their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. These photos, from formal to funny, bring to life the prayer's earnest plea for life and the interconnectedness of the generations. Page 44, Avot V'Imahot.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imateinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זכרנו לחיים, מלך חפיץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים. למענך אלוהים חיים. למענך, למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים. למענך, למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים. Remember us all unto thine, O sovereign, who delights in life, and inscribe us in the book of life, and inscribe us, O God of life. Lemancha, lemancha, lemancha Elohim chayim. Lemancha, lemancha, lemancha Elohim chayim.
Page 59. Help me to serve you truly, with purity of heart. When I hear hateful or degrading speech, let me focus on good words and worthy thoughts. When my worst instincts cause me torment, teach me to care for myself and for others. In rough waters and misfortune, let me harbor patience and strength. Make my soul a sanctuary, that your light may dwell within me. Align all my acts in pursuit of goodness, so I may be a vessel of holiness, serving you with purity and truth. Page 66. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. Blessed are you, Eternal One, source of shalom. We pray silently through page 70. page 75. We haven't forgotten Avinu Malkeinu. Though we've overthrown kings and we disobey fathers, and we have no great liking for absolute power. Akiva stood before you in a time of drought, and his words went up like a flame on the altar. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our ruler. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion for us. He was humble and forgiving, so his prayer was answered. Tonight we speak again in a time of drought. Dry ground beneath us, no water, only rock. Not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but hearts that are longing to hear God's voice. For the sea of faith is all but gone. The tide's gone out on the empty beach. The world mocks our hopes, and life tests our courage. Why do the wicked live on and prosper? Why are you silent when they prey on the innocent? And if your dominion is kindness and justice, why is creation in so much pain? Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls. Send rain to our roots. Help us to find a way to pray. Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another. Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words. Help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth. 100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted their voices like flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real. Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten you. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you. Page 77. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, Hadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, Hanenu Va'anenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim, Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Umol aleinu, Ve'yolol aleinu, V'tabeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu,
It was time to call Jen. I placed my pack precariously on a route that stuck out of the steep slope and reached in to get my phone. Yes, I had a signal, not much of one, but I had one. I called. "Honey," I said when she answered. "Yes, are you done with your hike? I just need you to pick up a few things for dinner on the way home." "I love you." "What's wrong?" "You don't call and say that in the middle of a hike unless something is wrong." "I'm sure I'll be fine. I just might be a bit late. I lost the trail on the way down, and the terrain is, well, a little sketchy." "Okay. I'll call you when I'm down. I love you. I love you too." The trail that I had lost runs down Breakneck Ridge between Cold Spring and Beacon on the east side of the Hudson River. The name is well deserved. The trail has a few spots where a misstep would mean a long fall and, well, a broken neck. I had prepared appropriately for my hike: full water bottles, a paper map, a digital map on my phone. Jen had my planned route, and I had brought along enough snacks to keep me fueled for the ascent and the descent. But I made a rookie mistake, deciding to hike down Breakneck Ridge instead of up. I'd come to the top of the trail via another route, and the descent known for broken necks I had left for the end, when I was tired, attempting the toughest trail in the Hudson Valley. Not smart. And so, tired and going in the wrong direction, I had lost the trail. I had wandered off the ridge and stood on a very steep slope of rocks and leaves. A few trees clung to the mountainside, performing gravity-defying acts of natural magic. There was no going back to the trail. I could not see how to retrace my steps. I had to keep going. I do not usually count on divine intervention, but thought it couldn't hurt in this moment, so I prayed a prayer from the morning blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Praised are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who makes firm our steps. I took a deep breath and resumed my descent down the untracked mountainside, slowly, carefully, testing each step and hoping for the best. At this moment, many of us feel like we are a long way into a hike, tired, on unmarked terrain, and worried about keeping our footing. Worried that we as individuals, as a community, as a nation, that we may slip and tumble towards loss and pain and uncertainty. It's a decidedly uncomfortable feeling for a community of people who are accustomed to being in control, to being the ones who not only walk the trail, but who cut the trail, who even erected the mountains on which the trail exists. Just as my preparation for the hike failed me, no amount of preparation could have gotten us ready for the moment in which we now live. We stand on the perilous hillside of life in 2020 pandemic America. We have worked hard to create our lives, our homes, our families, our careers. We planned, studied, toiled, compromised, and did it all as right as we could. And then back in March, the trail disappeared. Together with every person on the globe, we stood there as the hillside became precarious, as the way forward became fraught with danger. Hiking is risky. Life, too, has become more risky, revealing our individual risk tolerance. Each of us chose different routes and methods for living on this unstable slope. Some wore masks from day one, others waited until told to do so. Some have barely left their house since March. Others have been out and about the whole time. Some will see friends for walks, and others for backyard meals, and others will not see anyone in person at all. And then, as if making our own decisions is not difficult enough, we judge others for their decisions. We look at a family biking in our neighborhood and bemoan the fact that they are not wearing masks. We hear about our neighbors going to the grocery store, rather than getting them delivered and wonder what's wrong with them. We feel hurt when our friends refuse to see us in the backyard because we allow our children to have outdoor play dates. Our judgment makes us angry. Angry with others for failing to see the world the way we see it. Angry at ourselves for not being more cautious. Angry at the people we live with for insisting on a safety measure that we would not otherwise take. This anger does mellow to resentment. That's less sharp, but perhaps even more caustic. All of it adding to the stress of the unstable hillside. And still, we have to find a way to traverse the slope, to make it down the unmarked path. And we cannot do it alone. We seek a way that lessens our anger, that calms our anxiety. We seek paths that feel familiar, that show us what beauty exists in the forest despite its danger. We reach out for community. Even when we cannot agree on a medium for connection, we reach out over the phone and through Zoom and on socially distant walks whenever we can match our risk profile with another long enough to connect. We remember that we do not walk this unmarked path alone. There are signposts along the way, even on this uncharted hillside. Birthdays and anniversaries cause us to lower our guard a bit for a socially distant visit in a mask in a backyard. Passover brought people from around the world together in ways we could not have imagined. Possibly a new way to celebrate the ancient in years ahead. We'll see. And now the high holy days that we enter tonight. Rosh Hashanah is here, as it comes every year. It comes with its offer to look back on the year just past. It comes with its call to stop on the hillside, to take stock, to examine where we are and how we got here, and how in some way we can move forward into the year to come. These 10 days are known as the Yamim Noraim. We typically translate this as days of awe because Norah does mean awe. We are called before God and one another to consider our lives. And if that's not awesome, I'm not sure what is. But Norah also means terrifying. Yamim Noraim, days of terror. In our Reform movement with our liberal theology, we usually avoid this translation. But that line between terror and awe is quite thin. The central metaphor of our services, the book of life, is terrifying indeed. The notion that our deeds speak for us and that our fate is written in a celestial book and sealed at the end of these 10 days, if that's not terrifying, I don't know what is. But then it's only metaphor. The liturgical book of life exists to help us recognize that our deeds do matter, that doing the wrong thing can lead to more brokenness in our lives, and that doing the right thing can lead to more wholeness. It's a powerful metaphor, one that has helped us and our ancestors consider our lives each year, consider the ways that we can live better, more completely, more compassionately, more whole and more holy. And perhaps this year, the book of life will help us discern a path down the unmarked ridge to the safety below. Perhaps as we consider our lives in the strangest of times, we'll realize that we have more capacity for kindness and service, more room for love and passion, more energy to create the world as we hope to see, rather than wallow in the difficulties of the present moment, a moment so fraught in so many ways. These days of awe will be like none we've ever observed. We cannot simply show up to the sanctuary and allow the service to wash over us. We need to create sacred spaces in our homes. We need to intentionally log on for the service and the Torah service. We need to drive through to hear the shofar and reach out to one another in different ways for the nourishing sense of community that sustains us. It will be so different. and it will still give us the chance to examine what's written in our book of life, to look at the stories, memories, and deeds that we inscribed this past year. And these days will give us a chance to imagine what pages we will add to our book of life in the year to come. How will we make ourselves, our world, better in the year 5781? These holy days will be so different, and these holy days will be the same as every other. I do not fully recall how I climbed down from the side of Breakneck Ridge. I remember sliding a couple of times, glad for a tree to grasp. And I remember stopping and sweating and taking a drink of water before taking the next scary steps. But after a couple of hours, I was back down, back on the road and headed to my car and calling Jen to tell her that I was safely out. None of us know the path out of the wilderness in which we now reside. But my prayer is that we can use these Yamim Noraim, these days of awe, to reflect on the people we are and the people we hope to become. In that reflection, reading our book of life and imagining its next chapters, perhaps a path of safety and healing will illuminate itself for each of us and for all of us. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes firm our steps. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.
Hayom t'amseinu hayom, tivarcheinu hayom, tigadleinu, amen. Hayom tidrasheinu litovo, hayom tichtavenu l'chaim tovim, hayom tishma shavatenu, amen. Yay. Hi dai 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 dai. Hi dai 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 dai. Hi dai dai dai. Hi dai 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 dai. Hayom tekabel berachamim uratzonet tefilatenu. Hayom titmechenu b'min tzidkecha. Amen. Ay, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, dai 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 dai. Amen. 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 Amen.
Page 78. Lift this cup for the year that is gone, for mountaintop moments and the taste of joy, celebrations shared, milestones met, all we've mastered and achieved since we last met. For wedding rings, tears, and kisses under the chuppah, new babies, first words and first steps. For the children who bless our homes and bring life to the community, for b'nai mitzvah and confirmands. Young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love. For beloved wives and husbands, sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year, for this community which nourishes us all, for all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted and disappointments met with courage, for last moments shared with those we loved and lost, for parents and grandparents whose memories are with us forever. We lift this cup for the year that is gone, for the year that begins. May we meet it in strength, in unity, and hope. We lift life's cup and celebrate survival, so we may sanctify each day that is ours.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagadol. Amen.
L'chaim.
Page 89. The light of life is a finite flame. Like our sacred candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades. Its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our lives are full. But as the night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. As tonight is Shabbat, we will read the names of people who died this week in years past and those who died recently. Jerome Belson, Bernard Birnbaum, Kay Coleman, Herbert Einhorn, Jay Fearman, Ray Freifeld, Barbara Karp, Carl Kempner, Sophie Messenger, Ralph Osako, Julian Pinkney, Alexander Zeev, and in recent days, Alan Carden and Beverly Rosenthal. Taking these names into our hearts with our own loved ones, we turn to page 90 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei olmaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, ta'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. Tomorrow morning's service will stream at 10 a.m., followed by a live on Zoom Torah service and discussion at 11:15. If you've signed up for a drive-in shofar service, I'll look forward to waving at you in the parking lot. Our live on Zoom family services will start at 3. And now for a sweet new year, we have a particularly sweet video weaving together the voices and faces of dozens of congregants. Enjoy this joyous prayer for peace, and L'Shana Tova, Happy New Year.